The 1995 Pacific Grand Prix, formerly the second Pacific Grand Prix, was a Formula One motor race held on the 22nd of October 1995 at the TI circuit, Aida, Japan. It was the 15th race of the 1995 Formula One season. The race, contested over 83 laps, was won by Michael Schumacher for the Benetton team after starting from third position. David Coulthard, who started the Grand Prix from pole position, finished second in the Williams car, with Damon Hill third in the other Williams. Schumacher's win confirmed him as 1995 Drivers' Champion, as Hill could not pass Schumacher's points total with only 2 races remaining. Hill started the race alongside Coulthard on the front row, amidst pressure from the British media for not being forceful enough in battles. Schumacher attempted to drive around the outside of Hill at the first corner, but Hill held Schumacher off as Jean Alesi, driving for Ferrari, got past both on the inside line to take second position. As a result, Hill dropped down to third and Schumacher dropped down to fifth behind Gerhard Berger. Schumacher managed to get past Alesi and Hill during the first of 3 pit stops. This allowed him, on a new set of slick tyres, to close on Coulthard, who was on a 2-stop strategy. Schumacher opened up a gap of 21 seconds by lapping 2 seconds faster per lap than Coulthard, so that when his third stop came, he still led the race. Section 1. Report. Background. The race, originally scheduled to be held as the 3rd round of the season on the 16th of April 1995, was moved to October as the local infrastructure and communications were badly damaged from the Great Hanshin earthquake. Heading into the 15th race of the season, Benetton driver Michael Schumacher was leading the Drivers' Championship with 82 points. Williams driver Damon Hill was second on 55 points, 27 points behind Schumacher. A maximum of 30 points were available for the remaining 3 races, which meant that Hill could still win the title. Schumacher only needed a 4th place finish to become Drivers' Champion, as even if Hill won, Schumacher would be more than 20 points ahead of Hill, with 2 races remaining. Behind Hill and Schumacher in the Drivers' Championship, David Coulthard was 3rd on 43 points in a Williams, with Johnny Herbert and Jean Alesi both on 40 points. In the Constructors' Championship, Benetton were leading on 112 points, and Williams were second on 92 points, with a maximum of 48 points available. In the 2 weeks leading up to the race, there was heavy criticism towards Damon Hill, with pundits feeling that Hill had not been forceful enough in his battle at the European Grand Prix against Schumacher. In an interview leading up to the race, part-time Ligier driver Martin Brundle said, "Damon has to do 2 things. First, he has to establish himself as the number 1 at Williams for next year, so the team can give him their full support. Second, he has to re-establish himself as a racer. Maybe he needs to lose a front wheel once or twice to re-establish himself." Schumacher, his title rival, said that Hill made half-hearted attempts to overtake, which led to him getting into trouble. The comments were prompted after a series of battles between Hill and Schumacher in previous race meetings, most notably at the Belgian Grand Prix, where Hill accused Schumacher of blocking him. At a Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile, FIA, World Motorsport Council meeting on the 19th of October to discuss driver etiquette, they opted against introducing new rules on the issue. Formula One's governing body emphasised that the International Sporting Code would be enforced on the basis that drivers are free to drive as they wish, provided they do not deliberately endanger another driver or repeatedly obstruct him on a straight, following incidents during the year involving Hill and Schumacher. Williams were favourites to win the race due to the nature of the track. Their Williams FW17 car was more suited to high downforce tracks like Aida, and thus had the advantage over Benetton. In an attempt to match the pace of the Williams cars, Benetton introduced a revised rear suspension geometry to the Benetton B195 for the race. There were 5 driver changes heading into the race. Having been in one of the 2 Ligier cars since the 10th race of the season at Germany, Martin Brundle was replaced by Aguri Suzuki as part of the 2 sharing the drive for the season. Jan Magnussen was drafted into the McLaren team to replace Mika Hakkinen because of the Finn's operation for appendicitis. The third driver change was Ukyo Katayama's return to Tyrrell after missing the European Grand Prix due to a crash at the Portuguese Grand Prix. Gianni Morbidelli returned to the footwork team, replacing Max Papis, while at Pacific, Bertrand Gachot came in to replace Jean-Denis Delatraz, both men having driven for these teams at the start of the season. Practice and qualifying. 2 practice sessions were held before the race. The first was held on Friday morning and the second on Saturday morning. Both sessions lasted 1 hour and 45 minutes, with weather conditions dry throughout. Schumacher set the fastest time in the first session, posting a lap of 1 minute 16.057 seconds, 0.3 of a second quicker than Hill and Coulthard in second and third places respectively. The Ferrari cars were 4th and 5th fastest, Gerhard Berger ahead of Jean Alesi, with McLaren driver Mark Blundell rounding out the top 6. Coulthard lapped faster than Schumacher in the second practice session, with a time of 1 minute 15.730 seconds. Hill was second in the Williams, 0.3 of a second behind Coulthard. Eddie Irvine in the Jordan car was 4th, 0.7 behind Coulthard. He was split by the Ferraris, who were 3rd and 5th, Alesi in front of Berger. The Benetton cars were 6th and 7th, Schumacher in front of Herbert. Heinz-Harald Frentzen and Jean-Christophe Boullion were 8th and 10th in the Saubers, with Rubens Barrichello 9th in the Jordan, 2 seconds off the pace. Coulthard clinched his 4th consecutive pole position in his Williams with a time of 1 minute 14.013 seconds. He was joined on the front row by teammate Hill, who was 0.2 of a second behind. Schumacher was 3rd in the Benetton, edging closer to the Williams drivers throughout both days of qualifying by steadily reducing the downforce on his car. His last run, right at the end of the second session on Saturday afternoon, pressured Coulthard into leaving the pits to cover the German. The pole position man thus used an additional set of slick tyres, meaning that out of the allocation of 7 sets of slick tyres, as set out by the FIA, he had only 2 sets of brand new rubber for the race, whereas Schumacher had the advantage of 3 sets of new rubber. Hill, concerned about starting from the dirty side of the track that is opposite to the racing line, had only 2 sets of brand new tyres for the race. Berger took 4th despite going off into the gravel late in the second part of qualifying. Berger's teammate Alesi was 5th, with Irvine completing the top 6 for his best qualifying position of the season. Rookie Magnussen qualified 12th, only 2 places behind teammate Blundell, after not making a mistake in either of the 2 sessions. Returning drivers Suzuki, Katayama, Morbidelli and Gachot qualified 13th, 17th, 19th and 24th respectively, with the grid covered by 7.392 seconds. Quote from David Coulthard, commenting on using a new set of slick tyres at the end of the session. For me, it was just a case of going out for my last run and trying to do better just in case Michael improved. But it was so close to the end of the session that I had to be out on the circuit. There wasn't time to see if Michael went quicker, then go out and try for a time if he did. Race. The conditions for the race were dry with the air temperature 21 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The drivers took to the track at 09:30 hours Japanese Standard Time, Greenwich Mean Time +8, for a 30-minute warm-up session. Both Williams cars maintained their good performance from qualifying. Coulthard was fastest on a time of 1 minute 16.831 seconds. Hill was 3rd in the other Williams car. Boullion split them in the Sauber for second position. Olivier Panis completed the top 4 in a Ligier car, 0.8 of a second behind Hill. Hill drove the spare Williams car along the inside of the start-finish straight in an effort to clean up his grid position on the dusty side of the track. Schumacher finished the session in 8th, despite going off the track, damaging his race car in the process. The race started at 1400 hours Japanese Standard Time. Coulthard, from pole position on the grid, held on to the lead into the first corner. Hill, who started alongside Coulthard, had a bad start. Schumacher attempted to go around the outside of Hill at the first corner, but Hill held Schumacher off. Both drivers ran off the racing line in the process, allowing Alesi through into second place. At the end of lap 1, Coulthard led Alesi by 2.8 seconds, with Hill a further 0.3 back. Berger was 4th, with Schumacher demoted to 5th. Bertrand Gachot in the Pacific became the first person to retire from the race with a gearbox problem on lap 2. He was followed by Suzuki and Boullion, who both spun off the track and were unable to continue. Boullion blamed his spin on Minardi driver Pedro Lamy, whom he accused of weaving in front of him. Schumacher passed Berger for 4th position on lap 5 and immediately began closing on Hill in 3rd, who himself was only a few tenths behind Alesi. Schumacher attempted to pass Hill on lap 11 for 3rd place at the hairpin, but Hill held him off. As Hill and Schumacher were held up by the slower Ferraris, Coulthard pulled away by more than a second a lap in the first 8 laps. By lap 18, Coulthard's gap to second place was 14 seconds, and it appeared that he would win the race comfortably. Alesi, Hill and Schumacher all pitted for their first of 3 stops on lap 18. The Benetton pit crew made a quick stop for Schumacher, allowing him to get out ahead of Alesi and Hill. Hill lost additional time with a sticking refuelling valve, causing his stop to last almost twice as long as Schumacher's. Schumacher exited the pit stop in 4th place, behind Coulthard and the yet-to-stop Berger and Herbert, with Alesi in 7th place, split from Schumacher by Irvine, and Hill in 10th place, separated from Alesi by Frentzen and Blundell. With Alesi and Hill held up by the slower runners on 2-stop strategies in front, Schumacher pulled away and closed in on Coulthard. Blundell pitted on the next lap, and Hill passed Frentzen on lap 22. On the following lap, Alesi passed Irvine at the hairpin. Hill tried to follow Alesi through, but his front wing hit the rear of Irvine's car, causing minor damage. Irvine pitted at the end of lap 25, allowing Hill to resume his chase of Alesi unimpeded. Like his teammate, Coulthard was scheduled to make 3 stops, but his pit strategy was changed to make only 2 by staying out 6 laps longer than originally scheduled and then taking on board more fuel than first planned at his first stop on lap 24. As a result of a lighter fuel load for Schumacher because of the different strategies, Schumacher began to constantly lap faster than the Scotsman. Schumacher made his second stop on lap 38 and came out of the pits just in front of third-placed Alesi, but over 20 seconds behind Coulthard. Schumacher immediately began setting fastest laps and began to close in on Coulthard once more. Hill managed to move up to 3rd in front of Alesi during their second pit stops on laps 38 and 39 respectively. The Ferrari of Alesi then dropped further back as teammate Berger passed him at the hairpin for 4th position on lap 45. Coulthard made his second and final stop for new tyres on lap 49, exiting 14 seconds behind Schumacher, who continued to extend the margin between the two. Coulthard was unable to capitalise on the performance advantage offered by the new tyres after the stop, due to lapped traffic getting in his way. The German made his third and final pit stop on lap 60 with a 21-second advantage, exiting in front of Coulthard to lead the race. Schumacher opened the gap to 15 seconds and won the race after 83 laps to secure his 8th victory of the season in a time of 1 hour, 48 minutes, 49.972 seconds. Schumacher was crowned the 1995 Drivers' Champion, as Hill could not catch his points total with 2 races remaining. He also became the youngest double Drivers' Champion in Formula One history. Coulthard finished second in his Williams, 14 seconds behind Schumacher, with teammate Hill third. The Ferraris of Berger and Alesi were 4th and 5th respectively, but off the pace as Schumacher lapped them both in the closing stages. Berger suffered from a misfiring engine throughout the race. Herbert took the final point in 6th place for Benetton, ahead of Frentzen, Panis and Blundell. Throughout the race, Barrichello and Magnussen engaged in a battle for 10th and 11th positions, with Magnussen keeping Barrichello behind until lap 37, when the Brazilian managed to overtake him into the hairpin. Magnussen finished in 10th place, but Barrichello subsequently retired on lap 67 with an engine problem. Magnussen's first race was described as highly accomplished by the year's Autocourse Annual. After his impressive qualifying performance, Irvine was heading for 8th place, but made an unscheduled pit stop on lap 72 and dropped to 11th. The attrition rate was low, with 17 of the 24 starters finishing the race. Post-race. After the race, it was revealed that Schumacher endured a downshift problem after his final stop, and that he was lucky to complete the final lap, as warning lights had activated on his steering wheel. Schumacher praised his pit crew for doing a perfect first stop, which helped him move in front of Alesi and Hill. He said he never saw anything like this team and its ability to come up with strategies, and that they never made one mistake this season. Off camera, while going through Parc Ferme, Schumacher and Hill renewed their argument from the Belgian Grand Prix over what degree of blocking was acceptable after their first corner incident. Schumacher told Hill that he was unhappy with Hill's driving throughout the race, most notably during Schumacher's overtaking attempts on lap 1 and lap 11, where Schumacher felt Hill had brake tested him. Hill refuted Schumacher's claims, saying, "Michael wasn't happy with what I did a couple of times in the race, and he has told me that he is unhappy with my driving. I find that extraordinary. The situation now is that we are completely free to drive as we like, as long as it is not deliberately dangerous, so I drove in that style and he didn't like it. He should have no complaints. Somehow or other, when we got into the braking area at the end of the back straight, I did something wrong. But I can't see what I did wrong. It seems that there is one rule for him and another for everybody else at times. I just think that either you agree to that and there should be no complaints, or there are rules and you should stick to them. I think that I'm a better, stronger driver this year than I was last year, and can build on that for next year. Clearly Michael has an advantage over everyone, and if I want to win, then I am going to have to overhaul him." Despite Hill's comments, he endured continued criticism by the British media after the poor performance. Speculation brewed that Williams were going to replace him with Frentzen for the 1996 season. Despite the rumours, Williams team boss Frank Williams gave Hill an unequivocal vote of confidence heading into the next race, the Japanese Grand Prix. Schumacher subsequently changed his opinion of the incident after watching video footage prior to the Japanese race, and no longer blamed Hill for it. During an interview, Coulthard, who finished second, revealed that it was his decision to change to a 2-stop strategy from a 3-stop strategy, telling the Williams pit crew to delay his stop. Afterwards, he said that in hindsight he would have stayed on a 3-stop strategy, and wished he could blame someone else for this decision, but I can't. The 1995 race was the last held at the AIDA circuit, and the last Formula One race to date held under the Pacific Grand Prix banner, with the manager of the TI circuit unable to keep the venue financially profitable. Section 2. Classification. Qualifying. Position. Pole. Car number 6. Driver David Coulthard. Country of origin United Kingdom. Constructor Williams Renault. Time 1 minute 14.013 seconds. Second position. Number 5. Damon Hill, United Kingdom. Williams Renault. 1 minute 14.213 seconds. Gap to pole position driver 0.200 seconds. Third position. Number 1. Michael Schumacher, Germany. Benetton Renault. 1 minute 14.284 seconds. Gap 0.271 seconds. Fourth position. Number 27. Jean Alesi, France. Ferrari. 1 minute 14.919 seconds. Gap 0.906 seconds. Fifth position. Number 28. Gerhard Berger, Austria. Ferrari. 1 minute 14.974 seconds. Gap 0.961 seconds. Sixth position. Number 15. Eddie Irvine, United Kingdom. Jordan Peugeot. 1 minute 15.354 seconds. Gap 1.341 seconds. Seventh position. Number 2. Johnny Herbert, United Kingdom. Benetton Renault. 1 minute 15.556 seconds. Gap 1.543 seconds. Eighth position. Number 30. Heinz-Harald Frentzen, Germany. Sauber Ford. 1 minute 15.561 seconds. Gap 1.548 seconds. Ninth position, number 26, Olivier Panis, France, Ligier Mugen Honda. 1 minute 15.621 seconds. Gap 1.608 seconds. 10th position, number 7, Marc Blundell, United Kingdom, McLaren Mercedes. 1 minute 15.652 seconds. Gap 1.639 seconds. 11th position, number 14, Rubens Barrichello, Brazil, Jordan Peugeot. 1 minute 15.774 seconds. Gap 1.761 seconds. 12th position, number 8, Jan Magnussen, Denmark, McLaren Mercedes. 1 minute 16.339 seconds. Gap 2.326 seconds. 13th position, number 25, Aguri Suzuki, Japan, Ligier Mugen Honda. 1 minute 16.519 seconds. Gap 2.506 seconds. 14th position, number 23, Pedro Lamy, Portugal, Minardi Ford. 1 minute 16.596 seconds. Gap 2.583 seconds. 15th position, number 29, Jean-Christophe Boullion, France, Sauber Ford. 1 minute 16.646 seconds. Gap 2.633 seconds. 16th position, number 24, Luca Badoa, Italy, Minardi Ford. 1 minute 16.887 seconds. Gap 2.874 seconds. 17th position, number 3, Ukyo Katayama, Japan, Tyrrell Yamaha. 1 minute 17.014 seconds. Gap 3.001 seconds. 18th position, number 4, Mika Salo, Finland, Tyrrell Yamaha. 1 minute 17.213 seconds. Gap 3.200 seconds. 19th position, number 9, Gianni Morbidelli, Italy, Footwork Hart. 1 minute 18.114 seconds. Gap 4.101 seconds. 20th position, number 10, Taki Inui, Japan, Footwork Hart. 1 minute 18.212 seconds. Gap 4.199 seconds. 21st position, number 21, Pedro Diniz, Brazil, 40 Ford. 1 minute 19.579 seconds. Gap 5.566 seconds. 22nd position, number 22, Roberto Moreno, Brazil, 40 Ford. 1 minute 19.745 seconds. Gap 5.732 seconds. 23rd position, number 17, Andrea Montemini, Italy, Pacific Ford. 1 minute 20.093 seconds. Gap 6.080 seconds. 24th position, number 16, Bertrand Gachot, Belgium, Pacific Ford. 1 minute 21.405 seconds. Gap 7.392 seconds. Race. Position first. Car number 1. Driver Michael Schumacher. Country of origin Germany. Constructor Benetton Renault. Laps completed 83. Time 1 hour 48 minutes 49.972 seconds. Grid position 3rd. Points 10. Second position, number 6, David Coulthard, United Kingdom, Williams Renault. 83 laps completed. Gap to winner 14.920 seconds. Grid position 1st. Points 6. Third position, number 5, Damon Hill, United Kingdom, Williams-Renault. 83 laps completed. Gap 48.333 seconds. Grid position 2nd. Points 4. Fourth position, number 28, Gerhard Berger, Austria, Ferrari. 82 laps completed. Gap 1 lap down. Grid position 5th. Points 3. Fifth position, number 27, Jean Alesi, France, Ferrari. 82 laps completed. Gap 1 lap down. Grid position 4th. Points 2. Sixth position, number 2, Johnny Herbert, United Kingdom, Benetton Renault. 82 laps completed. Gap 1 lap down. Grid position 7th. Points 1. Seventh position, number 30, Heinz-Harald Frentzen, Germany, Sauber Ford. 82 laps completed. Gap 1 lap down. Grid position 8th. Eighth position, number 26, Olivier Panis, France, Ligier Mugen Honda. 81 laps completed. Gap 2 laps down. Grid position 9th. Ninth position, number 7, Mark Blundell, United Kingdom, McLaren Mercedes. 81 laps completed. Gap 2 laps down. Grid position 10th. 10th position, number 8, Jan Magnussen, Denmark, McLaren Mercedes. 81 laps completed. Gap 2 laps down. Grid position 12th. 11th position, number 15, Eddie Irvine, United Kingdom, Jordan Peugeot. 81 laps completed. Gap 2 laps down. Grid position 6th. 12th position, number 4, Mika Salo, Finland, Tyrrell Yamaha. 80 laps completed. Gap 3 laps down. Grid position 18th. 13th position, number 23, Pedro Lamy, Portugal, Minardi Ford. 80 laps completed. Gap 3 laps down. Grid position 14th. 14th position, number 3, Ukyo Katayama, Japan, Tyrrell Yamaha. 80 laps completed. Gap 3 laps down. Grid position 17th. 15th position, number 24, Luca Badoa, Italy, Minardi Ford. 80 laps completed. Gap 3 laps down. Grid position 16th. 16th position, number 22, Roberto Moreno, Brazil, 40 Ford. 78 laps completed. Gap 5 laps down. Grid position 22nd. 17th position, number 21, Pedro Diniz, Brazil, 40 Ford. 77 laps completed. Gap 6 laps down. Grid position 21st. Retired, number 14, Ruben Barrichello, Brazil, Jordan Peugeot. 67 laps completed. Reason for retirement, electrical. Grid position 11th. Retired, number 9, Gianni Morbidelli, Italy, footwork heart. 63 laps completed. Reason for retirement, engine. Grid position 19th. Retired, number 10, Taki Inui, Japan, footwork heart. 38 laps completed. Reason for retirement, electrical. Grid position 20th. Retired, number 17, Andrea Montemini, Italy, Pacific Ford. 14 laps completed. Reason for retirement, gearbox. Grid position, 23rd. Retired. Number 25, Aguri Suzuki, Japan. Ligier Mugen Honda. 10 laps completed. Reason for retirement, spun off. Grid position, 13th. Retired. Number 29, Jean-Christophe Boullion, France. Sauber Ford. 7 laps completed. Reason for retirement, spun off. Grid position, 15th. Retired. Number 16, Bertrand Gachot, Belgium. Pacific Ford. 2 laps completed. Reason for retirement, gearbox. Grid position, 24th. Section 3. Standings after the race. Note, only the top 5 positions are included for both sets of standings. Drivers' Championship standings. Position, 1st. Driver, Michael Schumacher. Country of origin, Germany. Points, 92. 2nd, Damon Hill, United Kingdom. 59 points. 3rd, David Coulthard, United Kingdom. 49 points. 4th, Jean Alesi, France. 42 points. 5th, Johnny Herbert, United Kingdom. 41 points. Constructors' Championship standings. Position, 1st. Constructor, Benetton Renault. Country of origin, United Kingdom. Points, 123. 2nd, Williams Renault, United Kingdom. 102 points. 3rd, Ferrari, Italy. 73 points. 4th, McLaren Mercedes, United Kingdom. 21 points. 5th, Jordan Peugeot, Republic of Ireland. 18 points.